conversating. He say I'm happy you called, what you been up to lately? I said the reason.
Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. This is Life in Plumbing, and I am your host, Nate. All right, I want to thank you guys for watching first and foremost. Today is a very important topic. We're going to discuss about, why people look down on plumbing. The first question I came across when I was looking this up was because they are just drain cleaners. That's what most people's perception of plumbing is. Before I got into plumbing, I guess I thought the same thing. Like, you think of plumbing and you're related to a toilet, right? And you're just thinking that you clean toilets all day, right? When I got into the trade and I realized that it's a lot more detailed than that, way more going on than that. I remember my nieces, they were actually telling me too, like, oh, don't you just clean toilets? And this time I can combat that with like everything that involves, that's involved with plumbing. Like, I was able to let them know, like, man, we actually run gas piping. A lot of people don't know plumbers actually run gas piping. So it's not just a toilet. There is so much that goes into plumbing, just above ground, that is like extensive, that can get extensive in the detail of work that's needed just in your walls alone before we even get into the underground, right? It all starts from the underground, but it's built up to your fixtures and all that stuff. So there's a lot that goes into it. All right, and so the next question was, or perception people have is plumbers aren't educated, right? So they look at plumbers and they think like, oh, it's not like a white collar job. They're just, you know what I mean? They don't really have to know anything to do that. There is so much education that goes into in plumbing. And we're learning every single day. I've been in this 10 years and I still feel like I'm just barely scratching the surface with the knowledge, because everything is being upgraded. And if you can imagine, everything is going to like computer stuff now. So we used to have like 40-gallon water heaters that sit up on these little 18-inch stands. Like, now they're like, waterless, going to tankless water heaters, you know what I mean? And those are a different animal, you know what I mean? So to connect them, to make sure they run efficiently, it takes a lot of knowledge and education just to understand the theory and how those actually operate. So, just to, for people who think like we're not educated, I myself went to school for 4 years, non-union, and learned, everything to get into the field of commercial, right? So I started in this trade, getting in commercial, doing commercial applications, schools, hospitals, a lot of things that have to do with the schools for the most part. I'm getting into the service side a little bit more now, but for most of my career, I've been doing commercial. And yes, you have to be educated and knowing, because your plumbing is going in the walls with students, with kids, with, people who need water to function. Schools, people don't know, schools can't be shut down with water if you have students in them, right? So we play a major part into making sure that water is efficient and running smoothly during the process of, them educating those kids. So yes, there is a lot that we have to know. And, when you look around, you don't notice it, but how much water goes into a building and all these, like, and how it, affects all your appliances and everything that's in the school. Like, it's a lot. It's a lot. And you can't just come off the street and say, you know how to plumb a building, because I didn't know anything about construction when I first got into this. And it was very overwhelming, because it's a lot of detail. But over time, you do it so much, you just start to understand how it goes. But yes, if anybody says plumbers aren't educated, I mean, obviously, there's also a law that passed that plumbers have to be certified. So therefore, you have to be educated, and that's what that means. So there's a myth that we're going to erase off that too. Check that one off. All right, next question. Is plumbing attractive? All right, question 3, is plumbing attractive? And most people would say no, because it's a messy job, right? There's 2 sides to that, okay? And from what I know now that I'm jumping into the service side, there is the service side and then there is the commercial side. The commercial side is not messy. If we're talking about like waste and all this other stuff that goes into sewages and sewers, the service deals with that a lot more than commercial. Like I said, I was brought up in the commercial, learning commercial first, and I'm just now getting into the service side, which is definitely and can definitely get messy because you're talking about existing pipes opposed to brand new installations from ground up, right? So when it comes to plumbing, not all applications are messy. Not everything we do is messy. If it's above ground, it probably ain't gonna be messy. It's underground, right? So if you have anything going on in your walls and stuff like that, no, it's not going to be messy, right? But if it's underground, then that's where it can get messy. And sometimes you just have to do it. It is what it is, right? But you protect yourself. You make sure you're wearing the right gear. You have the right PPE on, which is protective equipment. And, you know, you just do your best to stay covered up. And it's really not as bad as everybody says. When I first got into this, I was like, that's the last thing I want to get into, right? I thought the same thing as you did. It's not attractive because it's messy. But once you start doing it, you get into it and you're like, it's not that bad. You just have to make sure you take the right precautions, right? Question number 4, is plumbing important? Of course, plumbing's important, okay? So every business, every home, pretty much everything that you see that is a building, a commercial, whatever, anything that has water needs water, right? Needs a bathroom in it. It needs a sink in it, for that matter. I mean, simple things. Needs a water hose, right? That is plumbing. That is plumbing, all right? So is it important? Yes. They're not gonna build a home or a building without having plumbing in it. That's how important it is. And I think it's way more, I think it's overlooked and I think it's underplayed as far as the trade is concerned when it comes to, like, you know, the security that plumbers have, because I mean, I can't see it in the near future, AI or anything taking over plumbing because of the amount of detail that goes into plumbing. Like, I couldn't imagine, you know, like, it's troubleshooting all day long. It's not just put it in. Sometimes things are in the way and we have to think while we're out there and to change things as we build, right? So plumbing has longevity in it when it comes to an occupation, and that's why I love it too, because even if I did decide to do something else, I can always fall back on plumbing because you look out your door and you can see plumbing right out the way. I mean, right off the back, right? Because yes, it's a necessity to have in a building. You have to have your toilet. You have to have your somewhere to waste your waste goes, you know, and dispose of. You have to have your water into the building, right? So these things are important. So yes, definitely. When it comes to plumbing, I would say it's definitely important because we cannot live without it. You will be sick if your water is not ran correctly. If we weren't educated enough to run a proper system, you could be sick. Things could actually affect you. So yes, it's definitely important. So, all right, question number 5. Let's get into that. Do a lot of people even know about the trades going through school, right? Usually we hear about, like, white collar jobs, maybe lawyers, doctors and stuff like that, right? Yes, those, to me, as far as my experience, I have never came across, like, my dad was an electrician, but I never went to school and had teachers or anything tell us about the trade, right? We just learn our subjects and then we kind of just figure it out as we go. At least that's how it's been for me, right? So no, I've never learned about the trade personally through school. I found out afterwards. I didn't know that they made enough money. Like, if I would have known in school about the trades, I would have definitely got into this a lot sooner. So with that being said, yes, at least educate yourselves on the trades. Understand that there is an entry level to get in there. To get in the trade. So that's what makes it more appealing, because you can make up to $100,000 a year, what most people go to school for years and never actually get the job, which this one you can do straight out of high school. When you're 18 years old, you can jump into the trade and be on your way to making $100,000 a year. Plus, you know what I mean? Depending on how far you want to go and how much you educate yourself along the way. But no, I have not in my personal experience. I found out about the trade when I got out of school, when I got out of my head that I didn't have to be a dentist or I didn't have to be this, and I needed a job. This one came about, and I'm like, I wish I would have known about this a long time ago. But the information's out there, and it's up to us to go and find it and educate ourselves on what's out there. So, all right, next one. Do plumbers get low pay? All right, like I said in the last statement, on the last question, no, plumbers can make 100 plus. They can make up to $200,000 a year in sales. That's just, I'm talking commercial because that's where I was, but I haven't jumped into all the other aspects of plumbing and aspects of selling and things like that. So it depends on how far you want to take it. You know what I mean? So there is no limit when it comes to sales. We all know that no matter in what market you're in, sales will always get you unlimited pay. So if you're a good salesman, then that might be something you're trying to make that much around those figures, then you would jump into sales. That's where you would go. But I would start at learning the trade first, because the more you know about the trade, the more you'll know about what you're selling. So it all comes hand to hand, and all goes together as your journey through here. There is lots of opportunities for you as an individual and as your unique self to figure out exactly where you want to take your life. You know what I'm saying? And you just put your all into it, and that's it. But yes, from $0 to $200,000 plus you can make in plumbing if you just if you go about it the right way. All right, so now we talked about the cons. That's the cons, and now that aren't really cons. It's just people don't really see both sides. They only see what they want to see, and they're not educating themselves enough to know the actual truth behind all of these myths, and they just going off of what they heard, right? I already talked about, basically I told you the pros as I told you the cons, but I'm gonna go through my pros anyway, just in case, so we can recap on, just how beneficial plumbing can be, becoming a plumber can be. They always need plumbers. No matter what business, what house, it doesn't matter what it is, you have a bathroom, you have a sink, plumbers are needed. That maintenance is needed. That expertise from a plumber will be needed down the line. If you have an older home, you're eventually gonna have to replace the pipes. A lot of stuff that goes on. So plumbers are always needed. You know what I mean? I can't see a time in the future where a plumber wouldn't be needed. I mean, everything we do runs off of water, gas and stuff like that. So I don't see that going away anytime soon. Our training, this is what I love. Our training supersedes what we do in the field. Our training actually goes above and beyond. The stuff that I've learned, I didn't know anything about, I was never mechanically inclined. People say they're just mechanically inclined, they just know how to operate things. And really it's people have grown up around it, and once they got into the field, they just knew how to pick it up because of their dads were in the trade, or their grandfathers or whatever. My pops was in the trade, but he never actually really, forced me to get into the trade. So that's why I never even thought about it. I always thought about something higher than that. But man, just being in the trade, the stuff that I've learned personally has helped me to grow, not just in the trade, but at home, as a father, you know what I'm saying, as a worker. There's so much troubleshooting, so much thinking we have to do constantly, that it helps you to grow up working with different people, management, teamwork, stuff that we have to learn in real life that we don't realize that we do in the field, that applies so much to life. If it's not working out here in the field, it's probably not working for you at home. That's what I started learning. That's why this channel is called Life in Plumbing, because that's exactly how I see it. Everything I've learned in plumbing has helped me with my life, and to try to figure out, what am I doing wrong here? Because sometimes we can't see ourselves in a situation. It's hard to see yourself when you're in a situation, but when you're in a plumbing situation, you find yourself something, you figure something out. It's the exact same thing as at home, and it's easier to see yourself outside of a situation. Always find employment. I've always been able to find a job because I take pride in what I do, because I'm good at what I do. I always know that if there's a company out there and they're looking for a plumber, they want somebody that can do the job. They want somebody that's going to make sure the job gets done correctly. And I know I'm that person. So there's millions of plumbing companies out here. I won't say millions, but there's thousands of plumbing companies out here. And if you are looking for a job and you do know that you're taking care of business and you're handling your business, then you're going to find a plumbing company. So you don't ever have to stress about, oh man, where am I going to go? This and this. Now they pay differently. It may be, that's the only thing you have to figure out. But other than that, finding a job as a plumber is fairly easy if you do take pride in what you do and you know that you can offer that company something with your expertise, because you're someone that's on time, you're someone that makes sure you get the job done correctly, and that's what they're looking for at the end of the day. Next is we save lives. Like I said, plumbing, if you're not educated and you try to put together a plumbing system and you put it and you do it incorrectly, you can actually put yourselves, and if it's a home, your family, in danger. There is a specific way to plumb. That's why there's a plumbing code. That's why in school we are educated to learn the plumbing code, to know what to do and what not to do for our own safeties and for the safeties of others. So yes, at the end of the day, if you understand that if your system ain't run correctly and the effects and causes it can have on you and your family and other people, then you would realize the extensiveness of running a system properly. And without that knowledge and education, it can affect you and hurt you and possibly kill you. It can be harmful. So yes, plumbers save lives. And then here's one of the biggest pros for me. You can start your career. Once you understand the theory of plumbing and you got it pretty much locked down, you can become an entrepreneur. It is a gateway to become an entrepreneur, to start your own business, and then now you're growing even more into the business, learning not just how to do it, but how to run it. You know what I'm saying? That's a whole nother beast, but just that in itself is another opportunity to make well over $100,000, right? So that right there is a pro for me. And I already spoke on this one. I just put it down anyway. Expand your thinking. Plumbing is problem solving. Okay, that's what it is. It's problem solving. The problem is, how do I get water into this building, into this house? How do I get gas into this house? Sometimes the way the foundations is, the way the soil is, things have to be ran a certain way. And we problem solve. We're constantly thinking how to make this effective and efficient and safe for our customers, for anybody who we are serving. So man, I love the fact that I'm always constantly thinking. It makes the time also go by extremely fast. You know what I'm saying? So if you're working those 9 to 5s and you're a person who's just like, man, the day's going by, I've learned that the more I get into my work and the more I try to take pride into it, the time just goes by fast. You're always thinking, how can I make this better? How can I do this more efficient? How can I make this look more appealing, right? So that's what I love about it, okay? So yeah, those are my pros, all right? So I hope this knocks off the myths of anybody telling you like, man, looking down on plumbing and saying that, oh, it's just one of those types. No, this job, it's just what we do. If you like to use your hands, man, go use your hands. It's all about you as an individual and as your unique self and your style of how you want to offer your service to the world. So doesn't matter how you do it, just be excellent at what you do. Go all the way into making that customer overly satisfied, and man, you're gonna enjoy your life, they're gonna enjoy their product, and we all get what we want. It's a win-win. So once again, let's knock off those myths about plumbing not being the ideal job, right? Because I'm in plumbing, I've been doing it 10 years, and I love what it's given me so far. So you guys check this. I hope you guys got something from this. Thank you guys for watching. This is Life in Plumbing. I'm Nate, and I'll see you guys in the next video. All right, peace.
Me and my God always conversating. He say I'm happy you called, what you been up to lately?